Hello and welcome to Promenade Française. Welcome back after this crazy review. Over the last 6 videos, we have been using AI in order to practice those sentences. And everyone's asking the same question. Like, okay, wait a minute. So we're just basically learned a couple of verbs and a couple of nouns. 35 nouns. And what? Like we're learning so slow. I recently heard about this company. Have you ever heard of Lingoda? They are looking for new students right now, and they have a 2-month immersive program. They have something called cashback or discounts on future lessons. Basically, it means that if you spend the money in order to attend the 2-month sprint, and you attend all of your lessons, and then there's like a couple of other rules related to the program. If you're able to successfully navigate through those rules, then they give you like 50% of your money back at the end of the program. I just got the email. They said, what are the 3 ingredients for success? Number 1, they said immersive, intensive learning. It says to complete the sprint, you need to take a class every day or 5 times a week. This regular practice, constant interaction with native level teachers gets you speaking confidently and even thinking in the language. That means that you have to set aside 1 hour each day with that tutor. You're going to be blasted with a huge amount of content. Number 2, it says flexibility. So with the online classes available 24/7, you create your own schedule. Okay, fine. And number 3, get rewarded for taking classes. If you successfully complete the sprint, you will earn 50% of your money back. That's some great motivation. That is like a good motivator, perhaps at the beginning. If we go back to the Fogg's motivation model, then we're going to see that there are basically 2 different ways to move you from inaction to action. And one is called a facilitation trigger, and the other is called a spark trigger. A facilitation trigger means that you're already super motivated to do that thing. You have to conclude that I have some high degree of motivation to learn French because of the consistency that I've been producing videos and moving through basic French content. And if you've been following along with my content, then it means that you also have some degree of motivation, intrinsic motivation to learn French. But then at the same time, it's like, are you doing exercises every day? And in this sprint, you are definitely going to be doing exercises every day because you actually have a class every single day. In addition to the class, likely you will also have homework. And what happens day after day after day after day after day? What if you're not motivated by money? The 50% of your money back, is that a facilitation trigger? No, that's a spark trigger. It's because it's not actually helping you to learn French. It's not, see, the lessons themselves, the actual process of learning French, that would be the facilitation trigger. And if they send you some activities, like for example, in my YouTube channel, we have a blog. You can follow all of my YouTube videos and you can learn step by step with me. You can then go to my blog, and a lot of the blog articles have Google Drive docs attached to them. And then you go into the Google Drive doc, and then there's these exercises. With this review series that I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, we are now going back to the same exercises and then breaking them down into even smaller pieces and giving you access to all different kinds of resources to help you to successfully work through these exercises in order to develop the skills of learning words, using sentence structures, and progressing in the French language. That is a facilitation trigger. A spark trigger is like, if I send you some kind of notification, hey, it's time to study. Or, hey, like in this case with Lingoda, they're saying we're going to give you 50% of your money back. When you have a class and you're like, oh, I don't want to go to class, but it's the spark, right? It's like, well, I want to get that money back. And the only way I'm going to get that money back is if I show up and go to the class. So that would be more like a spark trigger. Over time, it's likely that if you are not motivated enough, like intrinsically motivated, if learning French isn't already one of your primary desires, something that you just love to do, then eventually that 50% money back spark trigger, it might start to lose its effect. I would argue that actually this idea of getting 50% of your money back, it is not actually a spark trigger to get you to class. It is a spark trigger to get you to enroll in the course, because you're enrolling because you think you're going to get it for 50% off. The question is, am I ready to sign up for a sprint and like intensely study French for 2 months? I would argue no. And why is that? Well, obviously, since I've been creating exercises and I've been sharing with you my French learning journey for the past 4 months, you can see that I do not have the current desire or ability to focus that intensely in the study of French. And so, okay, so like, how has my opinion changed? How has my learning of the French language changed? What is changing inside of me in the process of the last 4 months? In addition to making these exercises and making these videos, I recently started using Clozemaster. Clozemaster, I like it because I think that learning a language at my age and at my experience level, it is more about exposure to new words. And it's less about trying to force myself to get my face in that piece of paper. And maybe it's because maybe do I have ADHD? Do I have some emotional block? Is there some other issue? It doesn't matter, because I don't really, like, what am I going to do about it if I have ADHD? Am I miraculously going to somehow change? Am I going to get a prescription? Am I going to get counseling? Or if it's some kind of emotional issue, is there something like, do I suddenly have access to a psychiatrist or a psychologist? No. So it just means, okay, so just deal with it. This is who you are. This is your life. And the question is not how can you dramatically change who you are, but it's what kinds of tools are going to be supportive for you in this current situation. That's why I feel like Clozemaster is the one for me. Clozemaster, basically, when I'm watching other YouTube videos, like I'm glued to the news, financial news, geopolitics. I'm always constantly watching all of these different things and YouTube videos about like thinking and thought and improvement and things like that. And they're not always like super engaging, or maybe I've heard about the topic before. And Clozemaster, I can put it on the side of my screen and I can like work through these sentences at the same time as I'm watching some other video. And for me right now, in addition to just going through this review cycle, going through this book that I created, producing these videos, producing exercises, I found that Clozemaster is the next thing that I've been doing in order to get more exposure to new words, new sentence structures, new verbs, and to move a little bit further in the study of the French language.